explore two more true and unnerving accounts which offer glimpses into the realm of the supernatural. Join Iris in a London nursing home haunted by its past as a tragic orphanage. Then accompany Ella in Sudan, Texas, as she grapples with terrifying occurrences with a mysterious presence in her home. Such experiences blur the lines between reality and the beyond, leaving a lasting impression on those who experience them. The Forgotten Orphans. In outer London, nestled between modern buildings and busy streets, stands an old nursing home with a haunting past. The building, now a haven for the elderly, disabled and those in recovery, was once an orphanage that witnessed a tragic fire in the late 1800s, claiming the lives of more than 30 innocent children. This is the true story of Iris Brown, a dedicated night shift registered nurse who worked at the facility for several years. Iris, along with her co-workers, had heard whispers of the building's dark history and the memorial stones that lay hidden somewhere on the property, commemorating the young lives lost in the devastating fire. Driven by curiosity, Iris and her colleague Cindy set out to uncover the location of these elusive stones. They sought the help of Cindy's husband Victor, who served as the director of maintenance for the nursing home. Victor revealed that the memorial stones were located in the fenced-in backyard of the neighbouring house, a property that had once been part of the orphanage grounds. An agreement had been made long ago that the homeowners were never to remove the stones, making them inaccessible to the nursing home staff. The staff working at the facility, Iris no exception, had long since become familiar with the peculiar occurrences which seemed to pervade it, particularly during the night shift. It was not uncommon for televisions to turn on by themselves in unoccupied rooms, even when Iris had personally verified that all lights and televisions were off just minutes earlier. Patient call bells would ring from empty rooms or from the bedside of soundly sleeping residents, sending chills down the spines of the nursing staff. One particularly unsettling incident involved a younger patient, an able-bodied man named Vincent, who was staying on the short-term rehabilitation floor. Vincent approached the nurses, visibly shaken, and demanded to be moved closer to the nurses' station. He claimed that if the television and lights in the unoccupied bed next to him went off and on one more time, he wanted out of that room immediately. The nursing staff at the facility had also grown accustomed to patients, especially those with dementia, claiming to see children in their rooms. While they often laughed off these instances, attributing them to the patient's altered mental states, a nagging feeling in the back of their mind suggested that there could be some truth to these sightings, especially given their frequency and consistency. This suspicion was further reinforced when a 19-year-old patient, Eugene, confided in his girlfriend that he was utterly terrified of his room because he'd seen a little girl in a yellow dress. Eugene would go to great lengths to avoid spending time in his room, choosing to sit and socialise with the staff in the lobby or dining room until exhaustion forced him to retire for the night. The most unnerving experience, however, occurred one evening when Iris and Cindy were engrossed in documenting patient notes on their computers. The two nurses sat at a long counter, their workstations separated by a distance of about 5 feet. Between them, in the centre of the counter, sat an old heavy metal 3-hole punch, far from the edge and with no other objects nearby. As Iris and Cindy tapped away at their keyboards, fully focused on their work and not exchanging a word, the unexpected happened. Out of nowhere, the 3-hole punch fell to the floor with a resounding thud, sending paper dots flying in every direction. Iris, catching the movement in her peripheral vision, felt her heart skip a beat as a wave of fear washed over her. She knew that Cindy couldn't have been responsible for the disturbance, as the sound of her typing had remained constant throughout the incident. No one else had been present behind the nurse's station at the time, making the occurrence all the more inexplicable. The following night, as Iris recounted the eerie event to her co-workers, another strange incident occurred, further solidifying her belief in the supernatural presence at the facility. Just as the words left her mouth, a chart that had been sitting high atop a shelf came crashing to the floor directly behind her head, causing her to jump in fright. Iris's experiences working at the nursing home left an enduring mark on her and her co-workers. Even after leaving her position at the facility, she maintained contact with her former colleagues, who continued to share their own spectral encounters within the building's walls. The tragic history of the property, with its roots as an orphanage marred by a devastating fire, seemed to have left an imprint on the very fabric of the building. The frequent sightings of the children by both patients and staff, coupled with the inexplicable occurrences that plagued the nursing home, painted a vivid picture of a place haunted by the spirits of the young lives lost so long ago. For Iris and her co-workers, their time there had been a glimpse into the beyond, where the lines between the living and the dead seemed to blur. The building, with its long and sorrowful history, had become a conduit for the restless spirits of the orphaned children, forever seeking solace and recognition in a world that had long since forgotten them. The Girl in the Corner. In 2008, in the small town of Sedan, Texas, stood a house that would become the setting for a series of terrifying phantom encounters. The story revolves around Ella, a 15-year-old girl who had never before encountered the supernatural, but whose life would be forever changed by the occurrences that transpired within the walls of the seemingly ordinary house. Ella had always been a sound sleeper, requiring significant effort to rouse her from her sleep. However, upon moving into the house, her sleep patterns took a dramatic turn for the worse. Plagued by relentless nightmares, she found herself jolting awake every 30 minutes, unable to escape the grip of terror that had seized her during her sleep. Strangely, these nightmares only occurred when she stepped within the confines of the house. The soulless escape from this torment only came when she spent the night at a friend's place, where she could finally find peace in uninterrupted sleep. The first peculiar incident that caught Ella's attention was the sound of someone moving about in the second-floor hallway. The family kept a thermos filled with cold water on this floor to save time walking up and down the stairs at night. And almost every time Ella awoke from her nightmares, she heard what seemed to be someone getting water. The noises were distinct: a door opening, footsteps echoing on the hardwood floor, the tapping of fingers against the wooden surface, and the unmistakable sound of a metal object being unscrewed. However, despite her numerous investigations, Ella never found anyone in the hallway, leaving her unsettled and perplexed. As if the mysterious noises weren't enough, a second incident added to the growing sense of unease within the house. One night, Ella ventured downstairs in the darkness, navigating her way through the shadowy rooms. As she turned to gaze into the living room, reaching for the light switch behind her, a sudden burst of light and sharp pain struck her. The light bulb had popped out of its socket, hitting her in the back of the head before shattering on the floor. Startled and frightened, Ella raced up the stairs, seeking the comfort of the hall light. To her dismay, the hall light burned out as soon as she flicked the switch. In a panic, she burst into her parents' room, frantically attempting to turn on their ceiling light, only to find that it too refused to turn on. It was only when her mother, awoken in the chaos, turned on a bedside lamp that a gentle glow finally filled the space, offering a momentary relief from the darkness. The final and most terrifying incident occurred when Ella was sleeping in her older brother's room, as it was an especially hot night and his room had the best air conditioning. Her brother's bed was positioned near the door, with a small television set on the floor by his head, facing the room diagonally from the corner. Ella's bed, on the other hand, was situated across from the door, beneath the window. On this particular night, Ella had awoken from yet another nightmare and saw comfort in music, listening through her earphones. However, a deep sense of unease began to creep over her, prompting her to remove the earphones and listen intently to her surroundings. To her horror, the tapping noise she had previously heard seemed louder than ever before. Summoning her courage, Ella rose from the bed and cautiously opened the door, only to find the hallway empty. The absence of any visible presence only intensified her sense of dread as she quickly shut the door and backed away to the centre of the room. Frozen in fear, she listened as the tapping sound grew closer, seeming to approach the very room she occupied. Suddenly, a single, forceful tap resonated against the door, followed by the chilling realization that the sound had now entered the room itself. Overwhelmed by terror, Ella grabbed a blanket, phone and pillow and fled to her parents' bedroom. Despite their attempts to calm her, she remained consumed by fear, unable to shake the lingering sense of a malevolent presence. In her distress, she'd reached for a phone intending to seek comfort from a friend. It was an old flip phone equipped with a button on the side that allowed for pictures to be taken, even when the device was closed. As she had run from the room, Ella had inadvertently pressed this button, capturing an image that would haunt her for weeks to come. Upon viewing the photograph, Ella was confronted with a sight that left her sleepless for the next 2 weeks. In the corner of the room, crouched behind the television, was a girl who appeared to be around Ella's age, gazing towards the camera. As the photo had been taken while she was moving, it was somewhat blurred, making certain details like facial features difficult to make out. Although, from what detail there was, her expression seemed to be devoid of emotion. The shape of someone crouching there was unmistakable. The girl had flat black or dark brown hair, grey-white skin and dark splotches all over her, like she just waded through mud. The image burned itself into Ella's mind, refusing to be forgotten. The mother, noticing her daughter's severe distress and the constant need to refer to the photograph, eventually discovered the source of Ella's torment and deleted the picture from the phone. With the deletion of the photograph, Ella's memory of its details gradually faded, allowing her to find some semblance of peace in the ability to sleep once more. The incidents that had plagued her within the house had also ceased, offering a glimmer of hope that the supernatural entity had finally relented. However, the experience left a formative mark on Ella's psyche, forever altering her perception of the world around her. Even now, almost 2 decades later, the mere act of recounting her story fills Ella with a profound sense of unease and paranoia. The fear that the entity might somehow find her again, drawn by the power of her thoughts and memories, lingers in the back of her mind, a constant reminder of the traumatic encounters that transpired within that house. Though she desperately hopes that this fear is irrational, the impact of her experience with the supernatural remains a heavy burden that she believes she will likely carry for the rest of her life.